Judy Moody Around the World in 8.5 Days. Chapter 11. Red, White, and Green Machine. When Judy got to school that morning, she bumped into Amy Namey in the hall. "I can't wait to hear about Italy," said Amy. "We get to come over to your class again. I can't wait to see your group dance that spider dance." "I'm my group," said Judy. She stepped inside Class 3T and set the Leaning Tower pizza tables on the shelf by the window. She covered it with an upside-down box so nobody would see it yet. "Rocky, did you bring the record and the record player?" asked Judy. "Frank," said Rocky. "Tell Judy I brought the record player." "Yipes, stripes, you're still not talking to me?" asked Judy. Rocky zipped his lips. "Lipper zipper," said Judy, cracking herself up. "Huh?" asked Frank. "Never mind," said Judy. "You had to be there, and I was, with Amy Namey, not you guys." As soon as the bell rang, it was time for Judy's group to tell about Italy. Judy and Jessica stood up in front of Class 3T and Class 3B. "Judy," asked Mr. Todd, "what about the rest of your group?" "Come on, you guys," Judy whispered. Rock and Frank came and stood up front. Rocky's having trouble with his voice or something," said Judy, "so I'll be talking for my group. Frank will hold up the flag of Italy." Judy handed the flag to Frank. "Shout, everybody," said Judy. "First, Jessica Finch will pass out a pizza spelling test." "Test?" everybody complained. "It's just for fun," said Jessica, "and you can do it whenever you want. It's not like it's HOMEWORK or anything." "Now," said Judy Moody, "first I tell you a little bit about Italy. Then we'll play a game, and I'll show you a dance. So Italy sure has some funny sounding cities, like Bologna, Italy, and Pizza, Italy." "It's Bologna," said Mr. Todd, "and Pizza, Italy." "Bravo," said Judy. "In the town of Pizza, there's this tower, but it's crooked, so it's called the Leaning Tower of Pizza. And guess what?" said Jessica Finch. "If you mess up the letters in the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you get what a foreign stone pile. It's called an anagram." "Anyway," said Judy, "I made a leaning tower to show you what it looks like." "That was our idea," said Rocky. "Rocky, I see you found your voice," said Mr. Todd. "This was Rocky and Frank's idea," said Judy. "Voila." "Voila is French," said Jessica Finch. "We learned that last week." "May I present," said Judy, "the Leaning Tower pizza tables." She yanked off the box. Something was not right. The Leaning Tower pizza tables wasn't leaning at all. It was melted. What used to be a leaning stack of glued together pizza tables was now just a great big globby blob of melty plastic. "Ah!" Everybody pointed and cracked up. "I'm melting," said Rocky in a Wicked Witch of the West voice. "Oh no," said Judy. "My Leaning Tower pizza tables. I set it on the shelf over the radiator." "The heat melted them," said Rocky. "We'll just have to call it the Melted Tower Pizza," said Frank. "Don't feel bad," said Amy Namey. "That's like what happened to my papier-mâché globe. Globe explode, remember?" "Okay, folks, the show must go on," said Mr. Todd. Judy took out the supplies for the pasta shapes game. "Everybody gets their own game board and a little bag with pasta in it," said Judy, holding up a bag and rattling it. "You match the different kinds of pasta in the bag with the shapes on your board." "Great idea," said Mr. Todd. "That sounds like lots of fun," said Mrs. Valentine. "Then write the name of the noodle under it. If you don't know the name, you can look up at my chart." Judy held up a piece of cardboard that had pasta shapes glued onto it. Above each kind of pasta was its name. Everybody cracked up. "Ha ha," Bradley pointed. "You're missing some," said a kid from the other class. "Where's the elbow macaroni?" somebody asked. "And the vermicelli? And the capellini?" asked Jessica. Judy stared at her cardboard. How could she have missed any? She had even stayed up late making sure she had every single last one glued into place. She marched over to Rocky and Frank. "Which one of you stole them? Give it." She held out her hand. "I didn't do anything, honest," said Rocky. Frank was chewing away on something, and the something was not gum. The something was pasta shapes from her game. You ate them? Cried Judy. I got hungry just standing here being a flag, mumbled Frank. Ew! Use your noodle, Frank, she said, pointing to her head. Those noodles were not even cooked. So? Said Frank. These still taste good. Yuck, said Judy. They had glue on them. I'm going to tell the whole world that you, Frank Pearl, ate glue. So? Everybody thinks I eat paste anyway. Roaralini, said Judy. The Leaning Tower pizza tables had melted. The pasta shapes game had gotten eaten. Getting around the world in 8 days was definitely not easy. But nothing could wreck the tarantella. Nothing. It had to be perfect. If only she hadn't forgotten about the practice that day. Now she, Judy Moody, would dance the tarantella alone. Just like her fortune had said. Rocky would play the record, Frank would shake the tambourine, and Jessica Finch would clap along. She could not mess this up, or half the third grade would be mad that they did not make it around the world in 8 days. While everyone finished the pasta shapes game, Mr. Todd pushed desks and stuff over to the corner so Judy could have plenty of room. Okie dokie, said Judy. This morning I am going to dance the tarantella. The tarantula? Somebody asked. No, not the tarantula, said Frank. Well, actually, you're never going to believe it, but I looked it up. Who knew? Tarantella means tarantula, for real and absolute positive. My dad told me the dance started a long time ago before he was even born, around the Middle Ages. Mr. Todd and Miss Valentine cracked up. Judy held up the tarantula skin in a bag. Everybody squirmed. Ew! Don't worry, it's not a real spider, just the skin or the skeleton of a tarantula. Anyway, this dance is called the spider dance. Some people say it started because if you got bitten by a tarantula, then you'd act as crazy as a loon and dance to get all the spider bite stuff out of your system. A doctor even wrote about it and said this dance was a cure for spider bites. Interesting, Mr. Todd said, raising his eyebrows. A spider has 8 legs, so usually you need 4 people, said Judy, glancing over at Rocky, Frank, and Jessica. Judy, said Mr. Todd, why don't you show us? Then we'll call on some others to come up and try it with you. Fantastico, said Judy. Rocky started the record. Judy faced the third graders. She stretched her hands in the air. Frank started to shake the tambourine. Jessica Finch clapped. Judy took a deep breath. Nice and easy, she told herself. Da 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 da. Step, hop, slide. Step, hop, slide. Change, step, hop, skip, slap, knee, repeat, buzz, turn, spin in place. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Judy counted to herself. She tried to remember all the steps she practiced. She tried to remember the reverse direction when the music changed. She tried to keep up with the music as it got faster. Step, hop, slide, change. Step, hop, skip, slap, knee, repeat. Da 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 da. Something was not right. The music was too fast. Judy made her feet go faster and faster until her head was dizzy and her hair was in her mouth. Too puff, puff fast, she panted. Slow puff, puff down, huff, puff, puff. But nobody seemed to hear. The music kept going faster and faster. Frank shook the tambourine faster than an earthquake. Judy whirled and twirled, a dizzy dancing dervish. Her feet were moving so fast she felt like a spider with 8 legs. The class was clapping and shouting and laughing and pointing. Mr. Todd blinked the lights. Judy spun like a top out of control, a dizzy dancing red, white, and green machine. Suddenly she banged into a desk, tripped over her own foot, and fell in a red, white, and green heap on the floor. Oops! Was it too fast? Rocky asked innocently. Stupido, Judy mumbled. She, Judy Moody, knew that Rocky and Frank had revved up the tarantula music on purpose. It was just plain red, white, and mean.